Today, we have a special guest with us, and I will read her bio right here. Grace Jo was born in North Korea, a place where she almost starved to death as a child. 2 of Grace's brothers died of starvation. Grace's father was tortured and starved to death. He passed away when North Korean agents transferred him from a detention center to a jail, and his crime was that he left his country in search of food for his family. One of Grace's older sisters went to China to find food for her family, but went missing and was probably sold into human trafficking. Grace was repatriated twice to North Korea by the Chinese government and suffered imprisonment after she was repatriated. Grace's mother and one of Grace's sisters were repatriated 4 times and suffered torture after repatriation. In 2006, Pastor Philip Buck bribed North Korean agents to let Grace and her 2 remaining family members escape North Korea. In 2008, the UNHCR rescued Grace and her family from China and enabled them to enter the United States of America as legal refugees. Grace is one of 370 refugees from North Korea who have settled in the U.S. Currently, Grace lives in Atlanta, Georgia. In 2013, Grace became a U.S. citizen. Alongside her family, she has protested the forced repatriation of North Korean escapees hiding out in China. Grace serves as a vice president of an organization, NK in USA, North Koreans in USA, which helps North Korean defects in rescue, resettlement, and emergency assistance. She is going to speak with us today. I want you, some of you, to think about a question that you may have at the end of her presentation, that you may want to come up to one of these microphones and ask that questions for Grace. Let's give a hand to Grace Jo.
Thank you. I'm a little short. Good afternoon. Wow, it's so excited to meet all of you in person, finally. Is someone gonna help me to move the slide? Or, okay, cool. So I shared some of my stories in the morning, but this afternoon I will share similar path, and it's my pleasure to share my family story and my life story with you all. And you guys are chosen people, you guys are blessed, and you guys are so special because you can hear the very important stories from me today, right? Yay! Yay! Thank you. Well, each time I hear the anthem, my heart beats so fast because I feel like it's a very honorable song I can hear and sing as North Korean American. And I feel very proud to tell you that I am an American too. Thank you. About 15 years ago, I was hiding in China, and at the time we didn't know when and how we are going to come to America. And at the time we did rescued by the UN, and we were hiding in the house apartment founded by the UN office in Beijing, China, but we were not allowed to go out from the apartment because UN officials said, once you go out from this property, if there's anything happen, then we cannot protect you. And of course, we are very afraid of got caught by the Chinese officials because we don't want to go back to our country. The reason is, it is a very scary story I'm going to tell you. So 15 years ago, I wasn't able to dream about singing the anthem and sharing this story with you all. So it's totally different. When we move on to the next slide, there's a question to you all. So what is your normal routine in the morning? I asked the people in the morning as well. Any volunteer would like to share? Yes. Yes, I can hear you. Exactly, yes. Next slide will show our overall daily routine, right? So we will wake up, go to the bathroom, brush teeth, eat the breakfast, choose clothes because we have so many clothes to choose in the closet, and find the phones and keys if you have, and then we will choose the best shoes for that day. So that's my routine, going to the university and taking classes in the morning. And next slide, please. And after I come to America in 2008, March 21st, actually, next week is gonna be my 15th year anniversary in America. Thank you. Appreciate it. So after I came to America, for the first 2 years, we didn't realize what was freedom feel like because we already granted our refugee status and we are legal, and I was able to go to school, find a job, and we don't have to worry about the police officers in America. But we didn't experience what was freedom feel like. But it took about 2 years for me to realize it in person. There was one incident in Maryland. After we moved to Maryland, my sister, she was the first person who can drive in the family, and local church helped us with the deposit and all that. So we finally got one red Toyota Corolla in our family. And we just drove out from the dealer shop, and we were so excited, and we were so happy and blessed. And of course, with that excitement, my sister, she pressed hard on the gasoline pedal, so hard at the red light signal. So right after we turned right, the officer on the left side followed us right away. And then my mom, she was sitting passenger seat, and I was sitting at the back. And then my mom was so anxious and angry, and she was yelling at my sister and, slapping my sister's arm and saying, "Look at you, why don't you careful? There's an officer followed us," and blah, blah. She was so afraid of that moment. And then my sister, when she saw my mom's reaction, she was laughing and laughing for a few seconds. She couldn't stop laughing. And I was witnessing a whole scene at the back. Like, I don't know why one person angry and one person was laughing. I was thinking there and watching them. And my sister said one word. She said, "Mom, don't worry. We are in America. The officers will not take us back to North Korea." At that moment, my mom had a big change at that moment. She was very angry and upset, but she suddenly gave us like a big smile and laughing, and she said, "Oh, that's right, we're in America. We don't have to fear about the got caught and sent back to North Korea. That's right, we are protected." And after the officer walked by us and he saw all three of us who were laughing inside of the car, after pulled over, what was his thought? He was very curious, and then with a big smile, and then put the window down, and he was asking, "Hello, ladies, what's so funny, and what's the great information?" And he was questioning about why we were so happy after we pulled over. So with my bare English at the time, I was explaining to him, we came from North Korea, we didn't have a freedom before, come to America, now we don't have to fear about you, so we are happy, right? So I kind of delivered the message. And then officer laughed a little bit and took the license, and then a few minutes later came back with a warning ticket, and he said, "Welcome to America." So that was the first moment I realized we found the freedom in America, and we are protected in America. And that's why... Thank you. You guys are so generous. Thank you. And the slide shows my American dream. I would like to proudly tell you that I'm college student and I can achieve my college degree in America. I will say that already tell me that I am achieving American dream in America. If I lived in North Korea or if I stayed in China by hiding, I wouldn't have that opportunity in my life. I wouldn't be able to think about what is my future career will be, what is my dream about future, what would I contribute to the society. I wouldn't think about those great ideas. Only thing I would think about was what will I eat next morning and where should I stay for that day without being caught. And all these small things will like control my mind and my thoughts, so I wouldn't have chance to think about the future. Next slide, please. So this is a little bit about me. So I'm a goal achiever. I'm an interior design student from Savannah College of Art and Design in Atlanta campus. And I am a mom of 2 dog Shih Tzus, not a baby. And I am a daughter of a brave woman. And I'm a younger sister of a human rights activist. Next slide, please. So here now I want to lead you all to a little bit of a history background. So in the world, we all know that those 5 countries are communist country, and they are very isolated countries in the world, which is we have a Vietnam, Cuba, Laos, China, and North Korea. And I was born in North Korea in 1991 until 1998, and I came to China in 1998, and since then I tried to live in China for 10 years and forcefully sent back to my country twice forcefully. And next slide, please. So this image shows you the map where is the country, and the red dot is where I came from. It's the border area between China and North Korea. It's North Hamgyong province, and on the left side there's black satellite image, which is the bright side is South Korea capital, Seoul, and the upper darker area is North Korea, and there's a little tiny dot is the bright area, which is the capital of North Korea, which is the leaders live in that little tiny area. And at night, the only small tiny area will have the power, and the whole entire country will not have a power at all. So we don't have electrical power, we don't have water. Now we always don't have enough food. Next slide, please. So this will touch a little bit of history information. So before the Korea divided into North and South, it was one nation, one country, and we all had a beautiful culture. We loved to share food. We loved to love each other in the villages, and during the holidays, we loved to bring one bottle of alcohol with a handmade rice cake in the family, and then trying to get that to the neighbors and knock the door, say Happy New Year, and share the breads, and then visit whole village when we know each other or when our parents know each other. So that was our culture. It was beautiful, like to share. But nowadays, it's totally different. And as you can see in the history, it was 1945, North and South split it into 2 countries, and North Korea was controlled by the Soviet Union, and South Korea was protected under the under the United States of America. And then later on, North Korea and South Korea went totally different paths. South Korea enjoyed freedom like America, and we adapted to the capitalism in South Korea. So slowly South Korea's economic boomed, and then now South Korea is one of the rich country in the world right now, and their technology is great, and their pop songs and dramas, it's all great, and people love that from the world, right? And North Korean people also love South Korean dramas and pop songs, but they are not able to watch it like we watch every day from the Netflix. And North Korea, when they divided into their own independent country, there were 3 leaders took power in North Korea, the first leader name was Kim Il-sung, and second leader was Kim Jong-il, and now current leader was the third generation of Kim family, and his name is Kim Jong-un. And during the Kim Il-sung's time, it was my mom's time period, and she shared me some stories and some experience with me sometimes. And she told me that at the time she had enough food to eat, but didn't have enough product to buy in the market. So she had to wear one sweater for 4 seasons to go to work and school. And during the Kim Jong-il's time, it was 1994, and after he took power, he stopped rationing. Rationing means the government will give you food to survive, and you don't have a power to purchase or exchange in the markets. And at the time, there was not enough markets happened at the time, so everyone has to rely on the government rationing. But when the government stops rationing, people start to hungry, starve, and trying to find their own way to survive, and that took several years. And next slide, please. So the side effects after the North Korea controlled by the Soviet Union and became the communist country, what happened is 1994 stopped the rationing, and 1996 people started to hungry and die by starvation. So people, they tried to find their own way to survive, which was illegal activities. I will steal your food, and then that person will steal other people's food. And my family also got stolen twice from our family. And our family was considered as upper middle class at the time, but after 2 times stolen by those big group of people, they all took spoons and chopsticks, everything belonged in the family, they take it. So after that, my mom and my parents, they had to pay off all those materials she borrowed for the family and for like a sewing machine business she wanted to think about. So the debt and then the lack of materials and lack of food is slowly kind of dragged us from the starvation. And during the famine, illegal activities happened, but that was not enough. So a lot of North Korean people, they started to escape our own country to China to look for food and find opportunities. So after 1998 and 1999, North Korea government realized, oh, there are so many people are escaping. We have to increase the security border. So they increased the security border and started with middle school students. So in the city area, the middle school students will be the first to layer security. They will have the red band in their arm, and they will walk around with the pairs. And then when they see some suspicious people, they will approach to you and ask for the identification or the permission for you to travel around there. And the next layer is a high school and college students, and then local police officers, and then the last security is the soldiers from the military. And defectors like us, we have to go through all these 6 layers of security until we get to the border between China and North Korea. So going to the border is also very dangerous for us. Next slide, please. So in 1996, my family were also starving and suffered from the famine. And I remember I was 6 years old, and we were constantly hungry. We were collecting some leftover food from the government-operated farms, but we couldn't find any because so many people, they already been there. And we also went to the mill work, trying to collect the leftover powders from the mill work and trying to make a porridge and mix with the wild vegetables, but that didn't enough. And we also went to the mountains and collecting wild vegetables, tree barks, and leaves, and all those natural fruits during the summertime, and trying to collect it and make it food. But those are not enough. And my parents, they also tried hard to make some business. So after they sell something, they buy the flowers, they make a bun, and they try to sell in the village and exchange some other food, but that didn't work out. And my mom also, she was sewing the gloves, hats, and blazers in the house, by hand and trying to sell that in the village. And I was the one who was holding the fire torch all night long. And then the next morning when we wake up, under the nose there's a 2 line of dark ash pattern all in our faces. So we were pointing each other and laughing each other in the mornings. The other memory I have was after my parents tried many different options, all of them didn't work out because in North Korea, transportation is not available at the time. And transferring from city to city was also needed a lot of pass to get through, and that takes time. If you went to different city or state without the permission, you will get punished by the local government. So a lot of things stopped us from our own way to find life in North Korea. So we were hungry, starving constantly for a long time, and we were drinking cold water from the river for 10 days without any food. And I was counting hours at the time. And me and one of my younger brother, we were like very hot, and our body developed very hot temperature in our body. So we were looking for the coldest spot on a concrete floor that day. And I remember both of us were laying down, face down on the ground, and we were trying to half sleep. And one of the older lady from the village came to our house and visited us. And then she was telling my grandmother and said, oh, they are counting hours. At the time, I didn't know what that means, but later I understood that means we are almost dying by hunger. So she landed 1 kilogram of corn to my family, and my grandmother smashed into powder, made the porridge, and helped us drink, and then we overcome that moment again. The next memory I have was, it was a spring, and my mom found 6 newborn mice under the stones in front of our house, and we were trying to plant something for the summer. And when she cleaned up the little yard, she found out the newborn mice, and it was red, tiny, and my mom, she was scared of it, all the animals, so she ran to the house and telling my grandmother, and my grandmother, she was very excited to hear that because that was one of the nutritious food we could find at the time. So they boiled into the stone little pot, and boiled hours. It made us like a grayish soup, and then they picked me as one of the candidates who can drink it. I was very honored, and after I drank that meat soup, don't ask me about the taste, I don't remember, but it was a little scary to look at all those mice flowing on the soup. But after I drank that soup, I slowly recovered from the malnutrition, and my hair turned to black a little bit, and then I found my strength to walk again. So that was another moment I overcome from the death. And back in 1997, a lot of people in the village are also part of illegal activities, and my father was also tried something. He knew there will be some consequences, but he has to do it because he doesn't want all of us to die in the house without trying anything. So he illegally crossed the border between North Korea and China, and then he was looking for his relatives in China and got some help. So he brought bags of rice and bean paste from China, and some clothes from China, trying to sell in the village. He tried that 3 times, and on the 3rd time, he was reported by one of our village neighbors, and then he got caught, and he never returned to us. And like my bio said, my government killed my father because of 1 bag of rice from China. The main reason is the government did not permit you to cross the border, and that's the biggest crime in my country. That's why my father died. And after my father died, of course, we lost my grandmother, and she died by starvation, and her last wish was eat 1 baked potato, and at the time we were not able to provide that as well. And after so many people passed away in our family, there was about 6 people in the village. They were all like a police officer and some type of a position people. They came to our house and they were kicking us out from that village. And I remember we all were crying in the house. My mom was begging them and trying not to kick us out from the village because that was July and it was, the fall is coming and winter is coming. We didn't have clothes and food, so my mom didn't know where to go. So she was begging, we all crying, it was chaotic, but the officers, one of the high position officers said one sentence, which was, we will give you 15 days notice, and after 15 days later, if we still see you are still living here, then we will burn your house. And after my mom heard that, and my mom completely disappointed about our government, and she cried, and then she decided to leave our country because she said, well, this is not my country, because what a country government kicking their own people out from the village because the dad committed a crime according to my government. So we decided to cross the border, and like in the picture, we also walked about 3 days, 2 nights, unpaved road, crossed the mountains. We were hiding under the tree bush during the day, and we have to walk only following the moonlight in the mountain. And finally, we reached to the border between North Korea and China, but it was big river in front of us. And that was right after the water flow. So the water level reached my mom's hip and my sister's chest. So 3 of us, when we tried to cross that river, it was very challenging. And I was 6 years old, very tiny. So my mom, she put me in her backpack and she was holding my sister, and 3 of us managed to cross the river about 35 minutes. So after we crossed it, of course, a lot of great Chinese, Korean-speaking Chinese citizens, they helped us in the beginning. And finally, a few months later, we resettled in China. We tried to live in China. But Chinese government is also a socialist country, and they don't recognize North Koreans as refugees. So they're always searching us in the border area, caught us, put in the prison, and then forcefully send back to North Korea. So my mom and my sister, they forcefully sent back multiple times, more than, I think last time was fifth time, and myself sent back twice. And 12 years old and 15 years old was the time I sent back, and I witnessed so many tragic stories and people and scenes I witnessed in North Korea. Next slide, please. So this is my wonderful family, and on the left it was my mom, and in the middle is my older sister. And we were writing our story to UN back in 2004, right after we heard that North Korean Human Rights Act passed in America, after signed by the George Bush president at the time, and we were so excited and we have hope to come to America. So the missionary asked us to write a story and send it to him. So we were writing our story at the time. And after we sent to that document, we got caught again in the rescuing mission, and we sent it to the Chinese prison for 13 months, and we sent it back to North Korea again. And that whole process took more than a year. And after we come back to China in 2006, the UN already had our names in their document. That's why we were able to get protected by UN in quicker process. And after we got protected in Beijing, China, took another 15 months waiting period. And then March 21st, we finally flew from China to America. And that was the unforgettable memory in my life as well. Next, please. So this is the journey to freedom for all North Korean defectors. So red line is out, and blue line is in to freedom country, which is South Korea. And the first country we stopped was China, of course. And from China, there was 2 paths available back until 2005. The first one was going to the Inner Mongolia, cross the border to Outer Mongolia, claim as North Korean refugees by drawing the map and telling them we came from here and I want to go to South Korea, pointing with the fingers. Then the officers from the Outer Mongolia, they will just take them to the South Korea embassy. But after 2005, North Korea found out and they built their embassy in Outer Mongolia. So now, even though you're pointing South Korea map, they are not gonna send the North Koreans to South Korea embassy. They will send a notice to both embassies, and whoever comes first, they will take those people. So that route kind of completely closed after 2005, and the only route available now is going to the Laos and take a longer route to find the freedom. So searching for freedom is challenging. Finding freedom is almost impossible, but people are looking for the second chance in their lifetime. So they know it's challenging and it's risky, and they know they will face the consequences in their lifetime, and they will lose their life because of that incident, but they are still trying to find the freedom. So you all are blessed because you all born in a freedom country like in America. Next, please. This is the picture I would like to share. So those are children I stayed with, and then the little girl in the middle with the blue shirt is me and my sister. And we were protected with one Korean Chinese church group people, and I stayed there for 2 years, and that's where I studied my Korean writing and memorizing the Bible and gospel and the Christian messages I heard and educated from there. And since then, I became the Christian believer. Next slide, please. And this is the picture when we pray together with one of Korean American pastor who visited the shelter in 2001. Next one, please. So this is the graph published in Korea. The statistic shows since 2005 to 2022 how many people escaped and entered South Korea. So as you can see the graph between 2005 to 2010-ish, there are so many people escaped. But after that, the security increased in North Korea and in China. It made almost impossible for North Koreans to defect. But at the time, the broker fee wasn't that expensive. So still many people found the road to escape. But now, like as you can see in 2020 to 2022, barely less than 20 people escaped to South Korea because of the rescuing cost is so much. It's $15,000 per person only crossing the border between North Korea and to China. So it's impossible for us to pay for that money for rescuing one person, and not many non-profit organizations also be able to afford that. Next slide, please. Another fun fact is Coca-Cola. Are you all like to drink a Coca-Cola? I know many people, they consider health, so we are promoting them not drinking Coca-Cola, but I love Coca-Cola. But North Korea and Cuba, all those communist countries, they hate Coca-Cola and they don't have Coca-Cola. So, you have to aware that if you want to visit those countries, you have to think about no sweet drinks and no soda drinks in those countries. And next one, please. And now I want to take this moment to describe some challenges as North Korean defectors who are facing. So each time when we repatriate, first time when we cross the border to North Korea, there was the officer will come pick us up, and then we will line up in a one line, and the officer will tell us that we have to look down the ground and we cannot look up more than 45 degrees because that will see their faces and you are not allowed. And at the moment, they will say, you don't consider you as a human being. From now on, you have to obey 100% and listen 100% whatever we tell you to do, and you have to call us teacher. And because they want to call themselves a teacher because they feel like our ideology changed and our belief changed, so they have to re-educate us as North Korean citizens. So after they take us to a little prison, that's the view when we stay in the prison cells. So little tiny space, we'll have about 50 people in a little prison cell, and all the punishment we get is all day long we have to sit still, and then we are not allowed to move until they give us permission to take a 10 minutes break. And if someone moved from that position, and those officers will not sit in the right across the fence, but they will sit in the office watching the security camera videos, and they will see which room, which person moved in the cell, and they will walk with a little thingy, and then come and let everybody stand up, and they will punish us whatever they wanted to. So I heard like yelling and screaming at middle of the night because one of the officer came in after drunk, and then just to pull up one person, whoever he didn't like, and he was practicing the taekwondo on him. So he was a very poor guy. He has to got beaten from this officer all night long, and I had to hear all those screamings at the prison cell. And then little black dots on the wall, it's actually cockroaches. So when the light's out, all those cockroaches will come to people because they're hungry too. They want to eat people. And when the light on, all those cockroaches will run away. So we have to suffer from intimidation and punishment and all of those interviews, mind play from the officers. But at night, we cannot even sleep peacefully because of all those insects. So the life condition in the prison is horrible. So in 6 months, Chinese citizen who got caught with 80 kilogram weight, and then after 6 months later, he became 45 kilogram. And he exported to Chinese government, and Chinese officers were very, very angry. And I heard that story from one of the officers who were guarding the Chinese prison cell when I was in the prison. So he wanted to do exactly same thing that North Korean government practiced on their citizens. So Chinese government also punishing us and letting us sit still all day long and not moving. So we had to perform that in the both prison cells in China and North Korea. Next one, please. The next challenging is the security in China. So once we cross the border, we have to go through the border area cities to inner China until we find a safe shelter. But each city, there's a security gates like that, and then we have to show the identification card to be able to pass that. So if you don't have strong and powerful brokers who can help you go through all these securities, then you have to walk by feet, crossing the mountains and avoid all those securities. So it will take months for you to get to the inner city by physical fit. I saw many gentlemen, they did that actually, and then they finally came to South Korea, but all this journey and story is also amazing. Next one, please. So I think I will skip this one. Next one, please. So this is the brainwash technique in North Korea. So in education system in North Korea, the Juche ideology and Communist Party, they practiced brainwash techniques since they were little girls in elementary and kindergarten schools. And then the education, they are targeting young people, and they are teaching them about the fear about America. And the next images, please. So this one is the scene that American soldiers were torturing North Korean women in the setting, and then that's a black suit lady was teaching and sharing that historical information to those visitors, and that's how educate them. And next one, please. So this image is, according to North Korea, this is a historical fact that soldiers were torturing those North Korean gentlemen and killing them in the public by let families and friends seeing them die. And next one, please. And next one. Let's keep continue. And this one is saying that the little children and moms and women, they were buried alive by the soldiers from America. And let's go to the next one. So those education actually impacted a lot on those people in North Korea, and they were brainwashed. That's why they have anger toward the American people, and they consider America as the biggest enemy before. But after decades later, there are so many group of North Korean defector groups and then a non-profit organization. We trying to send information into North Korea and trying to wake them up and change that ideology and change that teaching method. So we sent dramas, pop songs, and all those great documentaries and all that into North Korea. And so many people, they already saw at once in their lifetime. And nowadays, the national sports team players in North Korea, they are also practicing their own North Korean vocabulary in their own because they don't want to speak out some South Korean vocabularies in the public and get trouble. And yesterday I was speaking with one of the North Korean lady in Seoul, and she was speaking with her mom a few weeks ago, and then her mom actually said diet in the conversation. And the daughter in South Korea, she was in shock because diet, the word is American words, right? And then we never heard that word in North Korea. And then she asked that, where did you hear that word? And then that mom told so many people that are saying those unknown words in North Korea, and they're practicing it, North Korean vocabs right now, going back and then trying to protect themselves from the government. So the main reason I'm here today, so I'm sharing my story, my stories from North Korea, my regime, and the government system to you all, because I want you to know what is the worst government system in the world. Capitalism. Maybe we all hear so many crazy things in America, and we feel like it's so hard, there's so many options, and it's too difficult. But comparing to my country, the socialist country from China, from North Korea, communist country, comparing all three of them, the capitalism is the best. So next one, please. So this is economic rank I found online, and about 200 countries in the world right now, they're converting to a socialist country. The government, when the leader and the government took full power, and then the business owners, they slowly lose the power, and then they have to give up their land, their economic strength, and then the government will take over your freedom. And then the economy goes down, and rich people getting more rich, and poor people getting more poor. So that's the reality of socialist countries. Next one, please. So we know North Korea is terrible. It's worst government system. So many people died, and a lot of brainwash. It's isolated country. They don't allow people to exchange information from outside of the world. They are not allowed to use cell phones to communicate with other foreign countries. So we try to find different methods to send information into North Korea and telling them North Korea is telling you lie and do not trust the government, and here is the reality. So we're sending all those great informations by balloon launch, USB devices, tablets, radios, and pamphlets, and written messages from individuals. And so many methods we tried. And then young people like our age, they already know South Korea is rich, American missionaries, they are nice, and Christian people, they always help in China. So many people, they communicate in North Korea, say, oh, when you cross to China, you've just found this one, and they will help you. What that means is just to find a church in China, and they will help you get through the difficulties. So that's the communication among in North Korea. And next one, please. For the action items, I would like to share a few things. One is, as I mentioned earlier, North Korean Human Rights Act is the only law that help us to come to America legally and get refugee status in America. And this renews every 4 years, so it's very important for us. So please support this act, and please share with your friends and families about this story. So then for yourself, you have to educate yourself about the different government systems and what's gonna happen if the government take full control. And then we have to make our wise decision in the future when you become the leader, because you are the future America. You are the great leaders in America in the future. So you will be the making decisions for our government and policies. So please aware about those effects and protect our liberty and freedom. And that's why I'm here today. And Dissident Project is the program like collected speakers like me, and you will hear more stories from other countries and other experiences. But even the Iran, Cuba, and China, Hong Kong, and all other countries, we all have same commonality, which is socialist countries are oppressing people. We don't have a freedom, and we always hungry and afraid in our country. So that's the common thing. Next one, please. You can actually involve and learn more information about North Korea, and you can search Defense Forum Foundation, and you can be member with that organization. And the leader is Susan Schulte. She is white American, and I consider her as mother of North Koreans. She has been doing this mission work for almost 20 years, and she's an amazing person. And you will get a lot of information about current North Korea information and updates and changes if you are interested. And next slide, please. Last and most important, please connect with me and share your opinions and thoughts on my social media page. And if you have any questions, you can always text me, and I will love to reply to you. Thank you so much for this afternoon. I know it's a very tired afternoon, but thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. You want to stay up here and answer some questions? Thank you. There are microphones here and right here. Mr. Christensen will be on this side. I'll be on this side helping students. If you have a question, please come line up on either side of these rows. And if you want to ask Grace Jo any questions, then she'd be willing to answer any of those things. Can you tell me, while you were trying to move from North Korea into China, besides crossing the river and going through the guards, what was one of the hardest things that you had to do along with that?
Hey Brad, real quick, Mr. Sheneman, we're probably gonna have time for about 5 questions or so. So let's do 3 on each side, just to be safe, and everyone else, please go have a seat. Thank you though for wanting to participate. 3 on each side, thank you.
Actually, I have a suggestion. In this line, you all got kind of discuss and come up with the 3 great questions together, and then ask me, and each group can do that, so then I can deliver all your ideas. So to answer your question, while they come up with the great questions, so the most challenging part for me at the time was I was very young at the time, so I didn't know what's coming up, and my mom did not explain what's going on at the time because she worried that if something happened on the road, she doesn't want us to say something wrong. So I realized after we come back to China, but for me personally, the most challenging part for the first escape was hungry and cold and uncertainty because I don't know what's going on, and I have to hide under the bush and sleeping and outside, and then a lot of moisture touching our cheek, and it was cold and chill, and we have to walk very, very long hours with very shallow shoes, so our feet and legs hurts. So it was just physical challenges at the time. But for second time, when we escaped in 2006, I was 15 years old and I kind of knew what's going on around there. And that time, one of the most fearful thing is, even though we know there was one soldier agreed that allowing us to cross the river, and he was watching us and giving us the signals, but we don't know what's going to happen at that moment. If some other soldier who we didn't do the agreement, and he will get in trouble and we all will get caught, and the officers will shot us to death in the river. So those fear at night when we were crossing the river, we were not able to breathe freely as well, and we were so scared to make the noise in the water. So we have to walk very quietly, but when we're trying to swim, there's a noise from the water. Like when we overhear that water, we always feel like, oh, please don't look at us and please don't find us. We're always praying that while we are crossing the border. So fear is one of the most thing that we have to overcome.
I was gonna ask, do you think North Korea will ever reach some kind of do you think North Korea will ever reach some kind of point that they are forced to change? Do you think they'll ever reach some point where they're forced to change their policies? For example, if enough people leave, or if there's some kind of revolution or something?
That's our ultimate goal. Without any war, we want North and South Korea get reunified, but it's very difficult as long as the North Korea, the dictatorship remains. It's very difficult for people to have some type of self-revolution inside because the regime also knows that it's powerful, so that's why they're controlling individuals and they're separating different communities, and they're not allowing assembly. So it's harder for like hundreds and thousands of people put together and do the testify in front of the government. Those are things are impossible in my country. And if someone reported and say, well, that family has different ideas about the Tutsi ideology or toward to the government, then the whole family will take over by the government next morning, and their 3 generations will taken to the political prison camp. So the neighbors will not know what happened to that family as well. So it's a very scary thing, and individuals are controlled by the government so severely. So that's why all those revolution activities are hard to happen. But I have a positive understanding is that among the people, back in 1990s, a lot of people, they had 100% loyalty toward to the government, but now we don't have that loyalty toward to our government because we know what they are teaching us is lie, and they don't give us enough of food, and they are controlling us even small things. So life is getting more challenging in North Korea. So people in North Korea, they're acting versus true loyalty. So we feel like that's big change. And the next possibility we see is that people in North Korea, they start to awakening. So they understand about the world, that they know about the world information. So that's the most powerful thing we think one day, even though outside of force or inside something happened, those people will not have the negative opinion about the freedom and outside of the world. So that's why we are pursuing and sending information into North Korea.
Thank you.
Hi. So my question for you is, why did your mom and your older sister get sent back to North Korea 4 times while you got sent back twice?
Good question. Thank you for asking. So I was in the pastor's house for 2 years, and my sister, she left me to visit my mom in the countryside in China. And when they were hiding in the countryside, they were found out by the officers, and they sent it back to North Korea without my knowing. And during summer break, I went to the village and looked for my family, and that's how I found out they got caught and they sent back. So I was very worried and very afraid that I wouldn't able to see my mom and my sister again in my lifetime. So I was praying so hard, and about 8 months later, my mom just showed up in the front of the house, and I was so excited to see her again. After they come back, they couldn't stay with me, so they have to find a different way and different place to stay. And of course, those time period, they all got cut again and again, sent back. And then the 2 times I got sent back because my mom, she realized that we could not live freely and safely in China, so we want to go to South Korea. And each time when she arranged with the brokers, that trip didn't success. So we got caught and we sent back to prison and forcefully sent back to North Korea twice. And each case, it was planned for us to escape to South Korea, but that didn't work out. So that's why I and my family, we had to suffer a lot in North Korea because we tried to go to South Korea.
I first wanted to say thank you for coming out. I think it is so important for, like, especially all of us, and some things we can hear now in our lives, especially with social media. They can be depressing about our country. People saying they're not proud to be an American. So I think it's really good to put some perspective in from other people's lives that do not have the privilege of living here. My question to you is, how can we kind of make a difference, and how can we prevent things that happen in these communist countries around the world from happening in our country?
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is a wonderful question. So as a students, I think we can start something with our surroundings, which is educate ourselves first, and then telling that to our neighbors and friends. And then finally, we will reach out to our government systems and education systems in America as well, because as you can see, 200 countries outside of North Korea, they were actually very rich countries too, but when the government took power and converted it to the socialist country, the lifetime completely changed for the people. They all were same as like you, and they were dreaming about the future career and all that, but suddenly they have to quit their school and they have to leave their whole country for freedom. So we don't want that happen to America, because I feel that urgency that many American people also think that socialist system might be possible and good practice for our country, because they were so disappointed about the capitalism. So when I see that, I feel very sad about that, because we experienced that. And on the text, the socialist government system sounds so beautiful and it's doable. But in reality, because our human being is so greedy, and we were not able to achieve that in the right way, and in the right way never be able to write. So learn and hear all of these experiences from these people, and tell your communities, and teach all those people and your peers, and be able to make right decision on your own and for your community, and bigger scale for our country in America in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My question is, how long did it take for you to adapt to this new environment when you came to America?
How long I adapt to American system? I think I am still adapting. But as I mentioned earlier, like realizing freedom was one thing. And you can imagine, before I came to America, I didn't know anything. So my brain was like a blank paper. And after I came to America, I have to write single thing on my paper, like even like writing mail and where to put the post stamp and where to write the address and how to write my name. All these little things I have to learn from the scratch. So learning, it kept me busy, and I slept less, I ate less, and I had to catch up middle school and elementary school materials in my high school and learning English as well. So it was very busy and difficult and challenging time for me, but I kept on going because I believed education is one of the important for us. And once we learn something, we are able to do something right. So that's why I kept my education, and I'm keeping going, and I still feel challenging in learning so many new things in America, and there are so many great things in America too that I still need to explore.
I just want to say that you inspired me. You were so determined to escape to China after being caught many times and being sent back into labor camps and camps and etc. And so my question is, do you ever think that North Korea and South Korea will ever unite?
Yes, that's our hope. We wanted to get united, but not in North Korean way. We want to get reunited in South Korean way because we want to bring the freedom into North Korea, not bring the Communist Party to South Korea. So that's why we are trying hard to sharing information to the world and trying to find a way to make the regime down and then bring the gospel in, bring the freedom in, and bring the capitalism system into North Korea. That's our mission, and that we still need to figure out many different ways to achieve that goal.
Thank you.
My question is, how old were you and your family when you came to America?
How old or how old I am? Oh, I was 17 years old, and I celebrated 17 years old in America birthday. So 17 years old, and I had a pleasure to attend high school in America because I was under 21, and I went to 5 different high schools in America because my family were constantly moving to different states to find opportunities and find a job. So each time when we move, I have to downgrade 1 grade and then go to high school and keep continuing catching up. Which school I go to, our school system is difficult. All teachers were very nice. They were drawing images and pictures and trying to explain to me about the math and biology, but I still had a difficulty to understand, but I tried my best. And thankfully, all those teachers saw my hard work, and they gave me hard work certificate and then gave me the good grade. It's not mean I did a great job on the homeworks, but teachers were so nice in America. Anyway, so at 17, I went to high school, and that's how I had opportunity to learn English a little bit faster than my sister and my mom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Real quick, I had a question. You can. Real quick, guys. In follow-up to a question I was discussing here with Ms. Charette, it would be wonderful. We get students at our campus, and you guys know, who come from other countries as well at times, and they're in high school learning a new language and trying to pass, and in a similar way you were trying to struggle with learning some basic things, but still as a teenager, what would you share to those students who are here struggling with trying to learn a language in a new culture and be successful here?
Oh my God, of course, learning process is difficult and nothing easy, right? But after you master something, you know, the feeling of you know something, that gives you joy, isn't it? That's why we all are learning something new, right? So I speak Korean, well, I would say North Korean language, South Korean language a little bit, because I can understand both their languages and be able to communicate. I say North Korean language and South Korean language because they speak same language but in different terms. For example, when you point to one little cup, in South Korea we call it cup, but in North Korea we call it gopbu. So even though when you're talking same thing, both of them, they don't understand each other without the learning process for different cultures. So learning language, I think the first step to understand their culture, and learning their culture is the second step when you trying to be friend with those people. And once you become friends with those people, you can achieve so many great missions and great work with those people because God blessed the people and people have to be reunited to create something good. So I definitely encourage you to learn language, and I was able to survive and be friends with Chinese people, and now I have Chinese citizen husband who only speaks Chinese and English, but I was able to keep all those relationships because I can speak a language and understand their culture. So I think even though it's hard and challenging and maybe feel distant for you to learn some foreign stuff, but I think this help you to get closer to them and make a world as a one united group. So I think one thing really respect the American education system is make students learn the foreign history and foreign information and foreign culture. So we are not staying in the United States only, but we trying to reach out to other countries. I think that's one great thing that I would definitely recommend for you and myself too, even though I came from other country into America, but I really value that education system, and I feel like that's precious, important, and it will benefit you, not help, it will not bring you down, but only elevate your skills. Thank you.
One last round of applause.